Hello, it's Matthew from Dead to Rights. I work in construction, so I am very familiar, at least moderately familiar, with what it takes to renovate a building. And I've done some major renovations, even structural renovations, and so I am aware of the fact that if you want to expand the footprint of your building, if you want to make your building larger and more grand, if you want to increase the size and the stature of the building that you have to start with the structure, and particularly you have to start with the foundation. A building that does not have a strong foundation is going to be weak. It is going to fail over time because the foundation cannot support the weight and the size of the building that you want to build. So whenever you have an old building or maybe a historic building and you want to do some major renovations and you want to add all kinds of stuff to it, you first have to assess how strong the foundation is. And I would suggest that the Christian life, particularly in a place like in America where Christianity is at least dominant culturally, that if you want to grow your Christian life, if you want your faith to be grown and to expand and to become deeper, well, you have to evaluate the foundation of your faith. And if your foundation is found lacking, you have to do the hard work of digging up the old foundations and laying a new and strong foundation built on Jesus Christ. You see, we grow up in America, many people like myself, grown up in church, and in many cases I've grown up in I'm not going to say weak teaching, but just not full teaching about Jesus. There was never really an effort to teach me that Jesus's mentality whenever he is making disciples is to look like Jesus, to live like Jesus. And so it became incumbent on me as I became an adult and I truly started following Jesus that I started having to ask myself, well, what is Jesus asking of me? Is it just good enough that I believe in him? Is it just good enough that I have faith? Now, I grew up hearing, well, it's by faith alone that you're saved. And this is true, but it's not complete. That's not a complete teaching. Because you're saved by faith into works. And a life without works is a life without faith. It's like me saying that, well, I'm a builder, but I've never built anything, right? If I say that I am in construction and I build things for a living, but I've never actually built anything. Like me saying I'm a philosopher, but I've never actually considered any worldviews. I've never put my thoughts to an actual belief system. You see, words without action, they're meaningless. And faith without works is meaningless. And I would suggest and I would encourage any Christians that if you've grown up in the church, if you've grown up believing in Jesus, and even if I do believe in Jesus, I am quite confident in my faith, then I would encourage you to really consider the foundations of your life. Jesus says that the man who builds his house on a rock is what? It's the man who listens to him and does what he says. That he actually obeys the teaching and the life of Jesus. You see, without obedience and without actually understanding what God's asking of us in Jesus, We cannot have a strong foundation. And the house that we build, well, when the storm comes and the winds blow and the floods rise, that house is going to fall. This is the reality of faith, that we must attend to the structure of things. Paul was aware of this when he was establishing churches. He says that he sought to build the house of God, to build the temple with precious stones. And how can he do that? How can he build the house of God on precious stones and make it a great house, except that it have a great foundation? The cornerstone, being Jesus Christ, is a cornerstone worthy of a great house, of a magnificent tower that is built up with millions and millions of people worshiping the same God together because they believe in one thing. They all are built by the same rock. You see, it is incredibly important to us that we evaluate our faith on the basis of Jesus Christ, his teachings, his commandments, and our obedience. But our obedience is only as good as what our obedience is being built off of. I might obey a false gospel, but that doesn't do me any good. It doesn't benefit me if my obedience is toward falsehood, right? I must consider the validity of my faith, the strength of the foundation, and build all of my life off of that. And if I do that, then I surely can have a great life, a meaningful life that is full of grace and truth and able to build something that lasts, not just today, but tomorrow and the next day, all the way into eternity. That when I see God, I can say I built my life on the foundation of Jesus, and He is what I built everything on top of. Every belief system that I have, every decision that I made, every choice for my family was all built off of the understanding that Jesus is Lord, and not just that, but off of all the teachings that He gave me, and off of obedience that came from an obedient heart that you gave me. And then whatever is built is going to last into eternity because it's built off of a sure foundation. See, I am aware in a physical sense that it is hard work. You have to evaluate and engineer something, and you have to really dig down and break apart what is old because it was built off of something from long ago that when in light of today's understanding of building and engineering, those old foundations no longer are suitable for the kind of thing that we're building today. When I'm going into a historic building and we want to make it something it fits with today's standards, the old foundations don't work because they were built off of yesterday's standards. And it's the same with the Christian life. If my faith has been built off of an old understanding, now I don't mean a different. I simply mean that if we grew up learning something and it's instilled in our brains one way of thinking about Jesus and about faith and about doctrine, then it takes hard effort to uncover those foundations and those roots to our beliefs, that old way of thinking, and to find, evaluate, and establish a new foundation in Jesus that is fit for the building that God wants to establish today. God's not looking for weak faith. He's not looking for temperate, a temperate understanding and a moderate understanding of his son Jesus. God is looking for people who are bold and courageous, who are willing to give up of themselves, their own life, their own ambitions, for the sake and for the glory of God through Jesus. And in order for him to do that, in many people in America, they have to do the hard work of breaking apart those old beliefs and old foundations and pursuing the standard, the standard foundation that is required to build the house that God seeks to build in our lives. That's what I want out of my life. I'm constantly trying to build my life on Christ as a foundation and nothing else. And I don't succeed many times. Many days I don't succeed. I am looking at other things that are building my life, whether that's a pursuit of money or that's a pursuit of people, whether that's looking for affirmation from others or worldly success, or whether that's political ambitions, or even if it's laziness. I don't want to work today, I want to be lazy today, and I don't want to work as unto the Lord. Or I'm not living in a life of gratitude and gratefulness and mercy and steadfastness and faithfulness. When I'm bitter and cold toward my wife or toward my son, and I'm not patient with them. You see, these are all results. These are all the building of a result of a poor foundation. But if I build my life on Jesus and I take away the bad foundation of an old life and I establish for myself the new foundation of Jesus Christ, then I can build on it things that are valuable, like peace and patience and love and faithfulness. These are the precious stones, the things that are worthy to last into eternity. And one day it will be revealed. Whatever we built our life on is going to be revealed by God. And we will give an account. Even if we're saved, we're going to give an account. One day, God is going to require of us to show Him exactly what the house that we built is. And if it's not built on Jesus, it's going to burn away and be worth nothing to God in eternity. So let's live lives that matter. Not today, but lives that matter into eternity. And let's give God the glory of a building built off of His foundation. That's going to be it. Be blessed. I will do another one of these probably soon.